Ryan Jarrell here for Fight Bananas, and I'm very excited to talk with my next guest again. It's Astro Boy Steve Erceg, who will be back fighting in the main event this weekend at UFC Mexico City, March the 29th, when he takes on Brandon Moreno. Steve, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me again.
Yes, sir. Nice to talk to you as always, my man. I first want to start with the Stevie Gonzalez merch. When I first saw that, I absolutely loved it. Just tell me how you got that idea and how the merch sold, more importantly.
Um, so weirdly enough, I had the same idea as my manager, and so when I called him about it, he'd already started designing it. And yeah, as far as like why we're in Mexico, Speedy, Stevie sounds pretty similar, and I don't know I wanted something that was different, and yeah, people liked it, but I don't know how the sales are going yet. I'll find out. Yeah, after the fight probably.
Okay. But you did get a lot of positive feedback. I have to imagine everyone loved it.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So are you going to rock some of that gear around during fight week? I mean, it's fight week right now. Do you have some with you?
So I feel a bit douchey wearing my own merch, so I usually don't. But I imagine there's potential that some of my team will and that sort of thing. But I actually don't know if we brought it over or not. I'd have to double check.
Okay, fair enough. I get that. Or at least I imagine where you're coming from. I also saw something else that I got to ask you about. I saw you cracked 100K followers on your Instagram, and you did this video where
Yes.
you subbing your mom. Is she like a BJJ black belt or something? How did that come about?
No, he has no grappling or martial arts experience in any way, but yeah, I don't know. I just didn't want to post a video of me saying, "Oh, thank you very much, everybody, for the support." It just felt lame, so I was like, "Oh, I'll do something different," and I'm usually grappling or attacking my family in some manner. So yeah, I thought that'd be funny. So just yeah, got to mum, and yeah, rest was history.
And she's a good sport about it, clearly.
Yeah, yes, I think most of my family have had to be a good sport about it because yeah, honestly, it happens every time I'm around them.
I'll tell you what, Brandon Moreno might be in trouble if you're looking to submit your mom. Come fight night. It's going to be scary to see Astro Boy in there. To get to this fight and how it all came about. Obviously, you were originally scheduled to fight Almabayev, and we saw he was scheduled with Manel Kopp. He ended up losing that fight, but I'm just curious to go back. Like, how much time were you invested into preparing for Almabayev, and then you got this opponent switch up, and now you're getting Moreno.
Yeah, I think can't remember the exact timeline, but it was like 3 weeks before the fight, or something like that, and they told me that Asu was out. They did, yeah. Originally I got told that he wasn't able to fight on March 1st, and so but they had a replacement, and obviously he did fight March 1st, so I don't really know what happened there, but yeah, I guess 3 weeks before I was supposed to fight
And Moreno's such a huge name, right? The former champ. I mean, this had to have been like a Christmas gift. Like you're getting someone that is such a huge name in the game, right? Like it's a better fight for you.
Yeah, 100%. I've never been excited when I hear fight news. Usually it's like nerves hit me the first thing. But for whatever reason, like this one is like, oh, you're fighting Moreno in Mexico. Do you want to take it? I was like, obviously I want to take it. And yeah, like usually you get a few days of, I always say yes very quickly. And then you get a few days of people like umming and ahhing about like whether they get, not whether they're going to take it, but talking to the UFC and accepting it, and within 2 minutes he'd already accepted as well. So it was all official very quickly. It was very exciting.
Yeah, very cool. Can't wait for this one, man. As far as the stylistic difference when you're preparing for Almabaya versus Moreno, how does that differ? Like what are you practicing more? What are you game planning more for Moreno style?
Yeah, so Asu, I think his biggest weapon is his outside single. So we did a lot of positional sparring where people start on single leg, and I'm defending that. Whereas this one, um, Moreno is more of a boxer, so I'm worried about the different things he can offer in the boxing or stand-up realm. And we're yeah, drilling a lot of specific things around that.
If I'm not mistaken, too, like you're probably used to having a reach advantage on most guys in this division. And if I am looking at it correctly, it looks like he might have an inch or inch and a half on you. Is that like, I mean, how different is that for you? Like, is that exciting to you to go against someone that has that same length like yourself?
So I usually have a height advantage over my opponent, but weirdly enough, I think outside of maybe one fight, I haven't had the reach advantage. They've all had either the same or a slightly longer reach than me. So, I imagine this will feel exactly like all those other fights.
Okay. I guess maybe just in my brain, I think like I look at you, you're always taller than everyone you fight. So I assume that the reach should be the same, but that's not the case. Regardless, with your boxing credentials and how good you are as a stand-up fighter, like, do you anticipate this fight to take place with Brandon wanting to kickbox, wanting to stay on the feet? Like, is this going to be like one of those fan-friendly fights that's just going to be standing and banging throughout?
Yeah, I think so. I think mostly we both want to be on the feet, but again, both of us can do everything. So if one of us are losing in one aspect, we'll both be looking to take it into another realm and find a way to win. And that's what makes him very good, and what I think makes me very good.
The last time that we did speak, it's been a little while. It was actually prior to the Pantoja fight, which I thought you easily could have won. It was right there for the taking. I just want to ask, just to go back to that, what are your thoughts now looking back at it? Because you were so close to becoming the champion. And I'm just curious, looking back now, like how do you feel when you think about it?
Obviously, I get frustrated sometimes. It's like, oh, I was so close to being a world champ, but I try to think everybody has their own journey, and if I won there, I wouldn't have learned some of the stuff I've learned about myself and about the sport. So at the end of the day, I think I'm going to be a better fighter for losing that fight than I would be for winning that fight. But it would have been nice to be world champion.
Yeah. Well, you're still
Yeah,
a young guy. You got a lot of time ahead of you, my man.
yeah, for
As
sure.
far as like the in cage stuff, like when you dissect the fight, right, and you look back, are there certain things you're like, I wish I would have done this versus that? Like, t tell me as far as the technical things, something you should have done differently there.
Yeah, I mean, my body lock defense I thought was very poor. So there's definitely one thing I've addressed since then. Is yeah, how to deal with somebody with double unders, and um, then I guess another thing was like even some of the stuff that went well, just um, his half guard is very strong, and I did find ways to get up, but since then I've improved those different uh, those sweeps and those get ups to to the point where I really think if I fought him again, and he did the same thing, I'd really be able to take advantage there. But obviously, he's going to make adjustments too and realize how I got up and that sort of thing. So I've definitely improved a lot technically from that one. And yeah, now it's just about showing it.
As far as the Kai Kara France fight goes, obviously these guys get a lot of power. Is this just a case where you got caught? Like, is that just what it is?
No, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's just about getting caught. Like he catches a lot of people consistently, so you have to look at what he's doing. And I think, yeah, just the consistency at which I exit going straight back made it too likely that he could eventually land that big left hook. So trying to sit a little bit lower, move back, move on angles, just be a little bit more switched on defensively to give him less opportunity because obviously there is um, some luck involved in fighting, and I'm not saying he got lucky, but you try to take away as much luck as possible, and that's by being as technical and disciplined as possible.
Obviously, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing, or at least I would imagine the most important thing for you, would to be the champion of the division. But if you could get one of those fights back right now, would it be to run it back with Pantoja or with Kai finishing you? Does that eat at you more? Do you wish you could get right back in there and get some revenge on him?
So that's a weird one. I don't like. I didn't really want to fight him in the first place because he was a New Zealander, and it's like we've now made it to the point where hopefully Anzacs don't need to fight each other. But um, I'm not going to say no to fights either. So they offer me the fight, yes, I'll fight him. But yeah, so I have no burning urge to get that fight back and fight him again. The fight I definitely want back is Pantoja. He's obviously the world champ, and yeah, that would be the one.
Just to stick with a couple of the guys in the division here right now, as far as Pantoja goes, he's obviously been talking about wanting to go up to 135 and be the double champ. Like, what do you feel like? his chances are against those elite guys at 135? Do you think he might be vacating and making a home there at bantamweight in the future?
I don't think it's super likely. I mean, if he gets, yeah, I think it was more likely when Sean O'Malley was the champ, but um, yeah, he was, as far as I can remember, talking about how big I was for the division. So I don't think, not that he can't go up there or anything, but I think he probably would prefer flyweight. And honestly, I thought the bantamweight, and it is very good. I thought, man, those bantamweights are way better than us flyweights. But Figueiredo has sort of changed my mind on that a lot. Like seeing how well he's done at bantamweight. Um, apparently we're pretty good too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are legit. It's hard to believe that there was a time where Dana White wanted to get rid of the 125 division. Is that crazy to think about? Like when you remember what I'm talking about, right? Like the fact that he didn't
Yes.
want that division just blows my mind.
I don't think he didn't want the division because if he didn't want it, he wouldn't have put it in to start with. But I imagine the numbers weren't doing very well. And not because the champ wasn't good. The champ was amazing, but he'd fought everybody, and so people, I guess, weren't excited about the next matchup.
Mhm.
But yes, I was looking at that time, thinking about how much muscle I needed to put on to make it to bantamweight, so I could fight in the UFC back then. And I'm glad that yeah didn't eventuate.
It's funny how things can change. Just get your thoughts too on Manel Kape's victory over Almabayev. Like what was your takeaway from that fight?
Yeah, no, I thought Manel Kape looked really good. I really did think that he would win the whole time. I just didn't see Almabayev's grappling being good enough to take Kape down. Kape's got very good takedown defense, and I really, not that anybody likes getting hit, but I felt like Almabayev did not feel comfortable on the feet with anybody he's really fought. Like he's got a nice spinning kick and he has an uppercut hook, but he doesn't look very comfortable there. So I thought 95% Kape was going to win that one.
Do you still think Pantoja is the most dangerous matchup in the whole division? Obviously, he's the champion, but like, is there anyone else that you feel like is on par? Maybe like outside of yourself, like if you look at a Brandon Royval or just anyone else in the division that you feel like would be a really difficult test for yourself.
Oh, I mean, I think they're all difficult tests. Obviously, yeah, Brandon Moreno's, uh, I think stylistically probably the best matchup against me. That or yeah, probably him or Carp would be the toughest too. Like explosive strikers. I think yeah, man, there's so many good guys. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard, but I do think I can hang and beat all of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But the top five are yeah, pretty slick.
What are your thoughts on going into enemy territory, going into Mexico to face Brandon Moreno, right? You did the same thing in Brazil when you fought Pantoja. Does that kind of like amp you up and make you even more fired up to go in there and put on a show?
I'm not more fired up, no, but like I am excited for the opportunity. I like the fact that I'm fighting a Mexican in Mexico, just like I was excited I fought a Brazilian in Brazil. Like the fact that the crowd's gonna boo me, like is cool. Doesn't amp me up more, but the fact that I'm fighting, yeah, on enemy territory against the local boy, like that's cool to me. I get like a free holiday. I just have to go fight some guy at the other end. It's pretty cool.
What's the worst thing you've had said to you? Or have you had anything like thrown at you walking to the cage or walking back? Like, did that ever happen in Brazil?
Nah, never. Honestly, the worst um like comments I ever got was when I was fighting in Perth. I fought on Eternal locally, and I was fighting another guy from Perth, and it was my fans versus his fans, and yeah, I got called all sorts of names during the fight. It was like very entertaining. Like the fight just started, and the yes, expletives, and it was like, oof, man, it's pretty intense. That's still the most intense crowd I've ever had. It
Wow.
was on
Okay.
Eternal. Yeah, it's
I,
crazy.
Didn't expect that answer, but that's really interesting. As far as just the urgency to not go to the judges, though, right? Is that something that's in your mind going into the fight? You know, we've seen a lot of crazy judging decisions. I feel like I'm saying this all the time in interviews, but
Yeah.
like, right, going to a decision with Moreno in Mexico is probably not a good idea.
I'm always trying to get a finish, so. Um, yeah, I mean, as far as trying not to get a decision, I'm not going to do anything like ridiculously reckless just to avoid a decision because that's when yeah, bad things happen, but I'm always looking to finish my opponent, so it's not going to change my mindset at all.
I think it's been like since 2016 was the last time that Moreno was finished. I think it was Pantoja that submitted him on the Ultimate Fighter. So he's not a guy that can be put away. But do you think you can do it? Do you see avenues in his game right now that you feel like you can get a finish?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think anybody can be finished. It's just about finding the right shot and finding the right opportunity. And um, yeah, he's been hurt before. He's obviously super tough and recovers, but I can definitely get there.
I mean, he's 31 years old now, Steve, but he's been in a lot of wars. He's only 2 years older than you, but like he's had so many really, hard, 5 round fights. Do you think he's still like the best version of himself?
Yeah, I do. I don't know how much the wars in fights make a difference. It's hard to tell. Like, I think training is where you see people like degrade the most. Like, you see boxers when they get to 50 and yeah, they're slurring their words and stuff like that. And then you see others that are completely fine and they had wars as well. And it's like, what's the difference? And I think honestly, overdoing hard sparring potentially could be one of those things, or yeah, a lot of drinking. I don't know exactly what it'd be, but I think Moreno looks good. He still looks sharp, so I don't think it's going to be a factor.
What did you think of his most two recent fights? He had the split loss to Brandon Royval, and then the win over Albazi. Like, what were your takeaways from those two performances?
Yeah, the Roy Val one, he looked really off. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if something Roy Val was doing. I don't know if it was something happened to him at camp or the else. I don't really know, but he looked off in that fight. Didn't look like himself. And in his last fight, obviously, he looks very good. He's obviously been working on his boxing a lot. Um, hit hard, looked composed, fresh the whole time. Like he looked like, yeah, a, either a better version of himself or like old Moreno again.
And you are in Mexico now. What left do you have to do before weigh-in day? Like, how close are you to making weight? Like, is you kind of like where you're at normally?
Honestly, I'm lighter than I usually am. So, got a nutritionist for this one and like doing everything way more regimented. And yeah, weight's been flying off. It's been hard to keep weight on, honestly. We've been eating extra food to try to make sure I'm not too light before the fight,
Same walkout song?
of course.
Okay. Is that ever going to change?
I honestly did thinking about changing it to Hell's Bells by AC/DC. That's got a pretty good intro, but and it's Australian, but yeah, every now and then I'll put Don't Mess Around with Jim, and it's like, ah, yeah, it still has to be the song.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. One last question I had for you, as far as like adjusting to different time zones, like how difficult is that to get on the right sleep schedule when you're fighting, at a different time than you're used to like living at? Like, just tell me a little bit about how hard that is to adjust.
Um, so the first few times I tried it, I tried to model my sleep the last few weeks in Australia as close to like and training as close as I could, and I do all these sleep on the plane at specifically this time because it's. I think all that's nonsense. I think just you got to get there, sleep whenever you are tired, and your body will figure it out.
And how are you feeling right now? Are you already adjusted? Like, do you feel good and healthy as we're getting close to fight night?
Yeah, I feel fantastic. We've been here for just over 3 weeks. So the first week, I was waking up like 2, 3 in the morning, but yeah, now sleep's on point. Feel yeah, acclimatized and yeah, ready to go.
And I know you're not a trash talker, Steve, so I don't expect you to give me some Conor McGregor, Mystic Mac prediction, but like, do you have a prediction? Do you anticipate this fight to go the distance? Like, what do you ultimately see happening here?
So usually I do have a prediction exactly how I want to approach the fight, but this one, I don't know. It's more laissez-faire, I guess. Like I've watched what he's doing, but it's like whatever happens in the fight, I'm ready, and we'll sort of play it by ear, see what happens.
Do you think a win over Moreno gets you the next title shot? Like, how do you feel like that positions you?
I don't think it gets me another the next title shot. I think likely win this one, and then yeah, I don't know, maybe two more. I think Kai is probably next. I think Royval versus Karp will be the number one contender fight, and then me versus I don't know somebody. We'll see.
With you being in Mexico, if you do get this win, what are the plans to celebrate afterwards? Do you have any? Are you gonna go anywhere, eat, drink anything? Like what's the post-fight celebratory night gonna look like?
Well, I've been told that the tacos here are amazing, so that's something I'm hanging out for. I want to go. Yeah, not the night of the fight, but I want to go to the Lucha Libre and I want to go to the pyramids. They're the big things I want to do. But as far as celebrating, yeah, not a big party or anything like that. So I'll eat some food, gorge myself, and then go to bed.
Fair enough. Well, best of skill come fight night, Steve. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. Look forward to seeing you climb back in the octagon. Before we do officially sign off, I want to give you the floor. If you have anything you want to plug or just anyone you want to thank in general, the floor is yours.
No, yeah, I guess my team is always like team at Wilkes have always been around me. They're here now, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you.